show that it is not how we should live. And if we all speak up, we can build a future without violence, where each person lives without fear. And please let me introduce our guests that are joining us today from different countries of the world. We have Ruki Peniel, who is a writer, CEO of Vessels of Hope Switzerland, and host of Hope Now conferences and Hope Now with Ruki Peniel TV program. Ruki is an avid conference speaker, legal and pastoral counselor, and life coach. And Ruki is in Zurich, Switzerland right now. Welcome. Next, we have Dr. Farha Abbasi, who is an assistant professor in the Department of Psychiatry at Michigan State University and a core faculty member of the Muslim Studies program. She is the founding director of the annual Muslim Mental Health Conferences. She works relentlessly and tirelessly towards one goal, learning to coexist and go beyond our differences to reach the common point of peace and prosperity. And Dr. Abbasi is here with us in Michigan, so welcome. Nice to see you. Next, we have Karina Bermeo, who is founder and chairwoman of Hispanic American News magazine, which contains non-traditional, credible, and inspirational media, always concerned about diversity, equality, and minorities. And Karina lives in New York, USA. Hi, Karina, welcome.
Thank you.
Also, we have here with us Agita Pasaribo, who is the founder and CEO of Bully.id, a future AL app that combines psychology and law principles to proactively identify cyberbullying with an L analysis known as a child online protection enthusiast and cyberbullying policy analyst. Agita has been advocating for progressive youth-related policies at various diplomatic and international forums to promote the UN Sustainable Development Goal. And she is in London, UK. I don't know if you're there now, Agita, but welcome. Next, we have Uma Kirmani joining us from Karachi, Pakistan. Uma is a published author, a TEDx speaker, honorary member of United Nations of Pakistan, Peace Ambassador of Institute of Peace and Development, lifetime member of All Ladies League and Women Economic Forum. Uma is a human rights activist who strives for women empowerment, especially refugee women and girls' education. Hi, Uma, welcome. Then we have Lawrence Lacue, who is an anthropologist, researcher in anthropology in such fields as veiling practices, international migration of Sufi cultures of South Asia, professor at National Institute for Oriental Languages and Civilizations in Paris, France. She's also making conferences in comparative religious studies. Hi, Lawrence, welcome.
Hi, nice.
And thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies, so much for joining us today. Thank you. And to remind our viewers, the project Not to Violence in the Family and Society was launched by the participants of ALLATRA International Public Movement within the frame of global project Creative Society, aimed to build such a society where every human being lives happily and prosperously, a world without war and conflict, a world that each person dreamed of. If you would like to learn more about the project and join it, please visit allatraunites.com and click the Join Us button.
Yes, And in order to build a creative society, a world in which every person feels secure, we should be united by one goal. The pillars of our goal are the 8 foundations that are described in the article, The Foundations of the Creative Society and the Stages of its Construction, published on the 18th of May, 2020. You can find them on the website allatraunites.com, and you can see it on your screen right now. These 8 foundations of building the creative society are the key to unification and success for changing the vector of development towards a peaceful and happy direction. Today, our guests will introduce the foundations and share the importance of its implementation. And our first question is for Ruki. I would like to ask you to share your opinion in regards to the second foundation. I will read it first. The second foundation is human freedom. Every human is born with the right to be a human being. All people are born free and equal. Everyone has the right to choose. There can be no one and nothing on earth above a human, his freedoms and rights. The implementation of human rights and freedoms must not violate the rights and freedoms of others. And Ruki, each human should be respected and treated equally. Can you please share with us your practical understandings on how the implementation of the second foundation of building the creative society will benefit in ending violence? And you might be muted right now.
Okay, sorry about that. Thank you, Olga. This is definitely a topic and a question that hits very close to home. What I say basically is that every human is a sovereign being. I think if we can all work with this central idea, it's very easy then to respect each other. The other truths that I've come to accept for myself and I seek to implement, in whatever I do, counseling, in my relationship with others, is that we are one human race. And if we are one human race, it means everyone is interconnected. The interconnectivity means that whatever I do to you, I actually am doing it to me indirectly. If I accept or know it or not, it doesn't remove from the fact that we are one human race. It doesn't matter what your color is, doesn't matter what your beliefs are, doesn't matter what your family, sub-family. So I work with this central idea and I seek to implement and perpetrate it, that the human race is one large family. We're just one large family. And I believe that with the current world situation, with the pandemic and all of that, it drives this point home to everyone. That we are all interconnected. We all have to breathe the same oxygen in. We all have to breathe the same air. It doesn't matter what continent of the world you are. It's proven that the ocean, somehow all connects. So we really are just one human family. And if that be true, then we ought to respect each other, knowing that we need each other. We will need each other. Maybe I don't need you now, but I might need you tomorrow. I might need you in future. I might need you in some covert ways that I don't know about. So whatever I do is actually creating a domino effect. If everyone works with this central thought, even though it sounds very radical, but it's the truth, at least in my opinion and the opinion of a lot of thought leaders, in our times, that, hey, at the end of the day, it's complete insanity, it's complete foolishness to think I'm better than anyone, no matter what their class or their race or their education or lack of it is. At the end of the day, there are 3 major things I'd like to share that I wrote down here, why I believe that violence and oppression is largely emotional and mental insanity. There's just something not right about it. Anyone who goes through that, because as you've said rightly, I'm into counseling, and I get to understand a little deeper, the connectivity between emotional health and mental health. If anyone engages in oppression, in violence, it's because they're acting out of oppression, or they're trying to suppress oppression. So it's basically one or two things that causes violence. So people are violent because they're acting out, oppression, because they felt oppressed and they just thought, okay, this is it. Or they are trying to prevent or suppress an active oppression already. So with these two things in mind, it would be good if we all work with this central thought that one, we are all the same, because every human being, when we're born, are all born naked. It's the same basic truth. Nobody came into this realm, into this world with nothing. So we're all equal in that sense. No matter what your family is, no matter what your situation is, it's very stupid to judge people based on what they have and what they don't have. So this is the central thought behind that. Keeping that before your mind, that we are all, I was born naked, you were born naked. So at the end of the day, we were born equal. That's a basic equalizer. That's the very initial, equalizer of all human beings. I'm yet to hear or read about anyone who was born with clothes on or born with diamonds on or anything. So that's just a very basic, very humbling equalizer for all people, for all men. The second one is we were all born ignorant, in the way that I can't remember the moment of my birth. And I bet I know, not I bet, scientifically, there's nobody who's gonna tell me I remember exactly how I came to the world, screaming or not screaming or whatever. Everybody was born ignorant of that particular first moment, first few months or few years of their lives. And so it's also stupid to judge people based on their physiological or psychological attributes, because we were all born in that sense ignorant as well from birth. We all lacked basic understanding, of being, and we all had to learn that. That's another humbling thought. And the last one is that we need to always remember that we were all born helpless, and we will die helpless. That's the truth. We needed people as we were born. We needed at least the mom and the maybe the what do you call them now, the midwives, or any other person that helped your birth. And when we die as well, at the point of death, we are all helpless as well. We become dependent on whoever is there to help or not help, or to bury us or whatever. We will always need each other. And so with these central points, I try to infuse this truth in as many people that come across, my path, or I happen to go across their path, that, hey, at the end of the day, we are one human race. We all were born needing the same things, and we will all die needing the same things.
Thank you so much, Ruki. Thank you. And this is so obvious. This is so basic, actually. How come we forgot about it? And this is an important question to be raised, actually. Thank you so much for reminding us.
You're welcome.
And Uma, we would like to ask you a question in regards to the third foundation, which is human safety. I will introduce it. So human safety: no one and nothing in society has the right to create threats to the life and freedom of a human. Every human is guaranteed free provision of essential life necessities, including food, housing, medical care, education, and full social security. Scientific, industrial, and technological activities of the society should be aimed exclusively at improving the quality of human life. Guaranteed economic stability, no inflation and crisis, stable and same prices around the world, a single monetary unit, and a fixed minimal taxation or no tax. The security of human and society from any kind of threats is ensured by the unified global service that deals with emergency situations. Uma, we would like to ask you a question regarding the first part of this foundation. Today, every human dreams of safety, security, and public protection. But the people themselves create violence and consider it a norm of society. Uma, how important is it to remember our true nature and create conditions for a safe and worthy environment for all people? Meaning each person has to take personal responsibility for making sure that proper laws are in place and followed.
Thank you very much, Elena. Your question is, very much relevant to the present situation, what is going around here. Indeed, that every person who is born free. Later, the ties and the chains of the different societal values and the rituals shackles one's mind, or just make the mindset like that. That people, they start, either they envy the others, or they start, they have a feeling of jealousy towards the others. Uh, there is a thin line between being envious and being jealous. That these are the two human emotions which cause the instability in humanity. Uh, Basically, out of all that ferocious injustice in the society, I won't say that there are no laws, that there are no uh, reforms for the people, that they could save their lives. But regretfully, the things which are supposed to be blessed, supposed to be the part of everyone's life, is not equally distributed here. What I feel that we need to have a profound understanding of societal and political understanding. Why I'm highlighting here the word political understanding? Because you see that most of the crises in the world are because of the political misunderstandings, or the people, they want to be the superior to the others. The inferiority complex and the superiority complex, they are just, the two sides of the coin, either head or tail. It's the same. uh, so what I believe, that people should have more opportunities, you know, that they should have been given the sense of security, that if this is mine, I'm not going to be snatched by someone. Uh, and for that, there should be no threatening tone. The attitude should not be ferocious. Like, if the justice is there, so the things can be improved. uh, Food, you know, air is for everyone, clouds are for everyone, sky and earth. They are, you know, hand in hand, stretching a roof, giving a home to everyone. But why the people in, we are living in 2020. Even then, there is a problem that everybody is having a sort of insecurity, that whether I'll be able to survive or not. If we talk about the pandemic which is going around, isn't it? People, they are confused, they are, bewildered because of the biological weapon. This is also insecurity. They don't know what to do when the pandemic was started. But now the things are coming better because of the sense of security, because of the sense of responsibility that is being sensed by the authorities. uh, we should have more, the values, like how that will make the rules, and everyone is supposed to be abide by the rules, isn't it? It's not like this, that certain rules we create for the people, and certain rules we create for the other set of people. isn't it? Why we are so democratic about the people whom we like the best, and we have got another set of rules for the others who are not meeting the criteria which we have set for the sense of security. I think that everybody should have the equal right, so that the you know that there should be more moral values, ethical values, law and justice should be fair. uh, I won't say that there are no laws and justice in the world. There is, but it is unfair. The time is this, that justice should be fair, laws should be implemented equally to everyone. And as you were talking about, Elena, the food, the the house, the home, and here in the country where I'm living, people are they are deprived of the basic necessities, because there are laws, there are rules, but there is a discrimination for a set of people. There is another rule for the other set of people whom you don't like, or whom you are just segregate on the basis of their race, on the basis of their mindset, on the basis of their status, financial status. You have improvised the rules a little bit different from them. uh, Food is something that has to be equally distributed. We should give more ethical and moral values to the people. As the first lady, she said about that we are very helpless. I know that we are helpless, we are ignorant about our destiny, about our fate, about that how did we come to this world and how will we die. But as long as we are the part of this world, we 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 should comply one rule, that live and let live. If there is a little food that has to be given, the little portions to everyone, there should be more community work. There should be more voluntarily work, that people start thinking. When people start owning the other people, there will be less conflicts. There will be less. When the conflicts will be less, then there will be less chances of war and terrorism, isn't it? What we say that, okay, this is your country, own it. Why don't we say that this is your world and everybody has to own it, isn't it? When this ideology to just to hold on humanity uh, in borders, isn't it? There will be a deprivation of the sense of responsibility amongst the people. Let the love disperse. Let the gratitude disperse. You see that these are the things which are supposed to be the norms of the world, isn't it?
Thank you.
That thank you.
Yes, thank you. I have to agree. Mutual understanding, and we all need to
Yeah,
take responsibilities for our actions, and the laws definitely have to be the same for all. Thank you so much, Uma. I
thank
definitely
you.
agree with you. And now our
I
next
hope
question.
I hope that I am a bit successful in telling that what is actually the safety for the human beings right now.
What is it?
I'm saying that I think that I'm quite clear about that what should be the sense of safety, sense of security for the people in this era of the highly high tech civilization in which we are living here. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. And our next question is for Agita. Throughout history, we see that violence only leads to violence. Today, we understand that by using aggression, we cannot reach a solution, as the cases of violence are increasing daily. The only way to build a prosperous and safe world is to start with ourselves and start solving problems in our society by using the tools available to us in our civilized world. Please share what steps can we take to build a violence-free world by peaceful means. And with that, since your career is in law, could you introduce the Seventh Foundation to our viewers?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So point number 7, it's all about the justice and equality. And what it's mentioned in here, I think everybody can also see it's stating all natural resources belong to humans and fairly distributed among all people. So I think everybody can basically see it. So I'll just, so we're taking quite some time, but I would like to, since our focus is about violence, we have to understand, I think there are a couple of violence that have not been explained in the beginning. Violence is not just when we speak about symbolic. I think Huma already mentions about symbolic violence. Now I'm talking from my law background. We have in here, there is a physical violence. When you're getting stabbed, when you're actually hurt, you suffer. That's a physical violence. And then you have a psychological violence. I believe there is Dr. Fahad in here and probably can explain better. But what everything about the psychological violence, it means when you mentally hurt. And then we have an online violence in here when everything's right now, crime, it's getting to the cyber. Now we have an online cyber crime. We have the, when you're actually losing your money, it's an online violence. So, and the last part is a symbolic violence. When it comes to, there is a racial discrimination. When it comes to, there is a discrimination in terms of races, in terms of your age background, or because of you are coming from different religious background. So before we actually come up to say that what step that we can do to basically eradicate these discriminations, I think it's, I believe that we have to understand first what are the discriminations itself and why it's actually acute to the public. So the first thing why the violence itself is actually acute, especially when it comes to discriminations, because one thing is there is a fear of, afraid of getting taken of something because of differentiations, because of a different of racial, because of a different of a skin background. And this thing is actually leading to a minorities group that they tend to be more focused to a different group because they think it's actually different. Now, again, when we speak about justice and equality, I completely agree. But we have to remember there is equality and equity in here. So these two are completely different. Equality and equity both are promoting fairness and justice. That is completely right. But equality is providing the equal everything the same amount. Now, when we speak about equity, it's basically giving what is needed to the person. Now, whether or not that 264 million people in Indonesia living in a tropical country will be having the same equality with people who live in the London with 66 million people, which is living in the European region. Now the needs is different. So whether or not that it's going to be giving the same equality, no. So equality and equity can become hand in hand when it comes to the same place, same needs, and the same thing. Yes, it can work. And both equality and equity is actually promoting the justice. Now, and here in the number 4, and sorry, in the number 7, we're focusing into justice and equality. I think the first step, what we basically have to understand when it comes to justice, that we are all born as a human being. We are all born that we already have a sense of preserved and protect under the law where you were born. So no matter how, what is your gender, no matter what is your sex, whatever your religion is, you are protected by the human rights in your country when you were born. And there is justice when it comes, there is no discriminations. If you actually roping something, and basically you will be getting to the prison. So no matter what kind of, whether you're brown, you're white, you're black, you're yellow, you will get the same justice because there is an unjust injustice. So in the first step, of course, the step is actually too long. But again, it's a knowledge, it's education. So it's a mandatory for everyone to understand what's their right and what is not their right, and what is things and what is not. So the moment when the country and the citizen itself, the society understand their knowledge and then embracing diversity, and the justice is actually should come in the first one there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Agita. So that means basically that again, we come to the point that the society consists of each human being, and basic foundation and education and implementation of human rights and laws should come from each person, each member of this society. And as soon as we accept it as our main value, basically looks like all our problems are solved automatically, because nobody will break the rules, the laws, nobody will act aggressively. So thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. And I would like also to introduce their first foundation, which is human life, of course. Human life is the highest value. Life of any human has to be protected as one's own. The goal of society is to ensure and guarantee the value of each human's life. There is not and never can be there anything else more valuable than a human's life. If one human is valuable, then all people are valuable. And Dr. Abbasi, we have a question for you. Mental health and self-knowledge is important for personal development. We understand that everything starts with us. Everything starts with a thought that we accept and our personal choice. And this is the main mechanism that is important to understand when we talk about violence and all other aggression, reactions, acceptance. Could you please give your expertise on this topic, and what are the changes we need to make in order to build a violence-free world?
Thank you. So, you know, since I signed up for this conference, first of all, thank you, everyone. It's just amazing being with you all. Just makes my brain go like, ooh, so much work to do. Thank you again for bringing us all together. So I have been, since I signed up for the conference, I've been thinking, how do we value life? And how do we value our life? And how do we value someone else's life? And I realized that something which is pain. Pain is a human emotion, feeling, connection that we have been moving away from. So if we see in every society, we are being taught to that there should be no pain in our life, right? And instead of learning to sit with the pain, we have been trained to walk away from pain and avoid pain or treat. And that's why we are seeing such an epidemic and pandemic of substance abuse and opiate use, because as a society, in our mind, pain is a bad thing. But pain was given to us as a gift to feel our own vulnerability and sit with our own vulnerability and protect our own life, but to understand the same for the others. So I loved what you said about the interconnectivity. I think we are only interconnected, we are very interdependent and intertwined. But the weakness that is happening in the society right now is the concept that we all have developed, the pursuit of happiness. Pursuit of happiness was about self-preservation, not selfishness. The idea that in pursuit of happiness, we lost the direction, what is need and what is greed. And this is the unsatiable need that I need more and more and more. But unless we come back and understand, every time you are eating more than your need, you're taking away from someone. If you are spending more than you need, you are creating poverty. If you are buying more clothes or bigger houses or bigger cars, you are responsible for the health disparities and social determinants in the society. So that's why I wanted to talk about how I kind of personally, it's a beautiful quote. Rumi said, when I was young, I wanted to change the world. But as I'm growing, I want to change myself. So that's the thing I have started working on, is to be comfortable with pain. But how to use this pain? We should be using our pain to feel other people's pain. So now let's come back to the situation in America with health disparity and racism and the brutality we are seeing towards African-American population. What is happening? We have developed this apathy because we can't sit with our pain, then how can we sit with someone else's pain? So I'm not going to deal with pain, right? So it is this thing that, okay, it's happening to the others. Initially, when we saw bodies of Syrian kids floating in the river, we couldn't sleep for nights. But after a while, it was like, I have to continue my life, so let's numb this pain. Just forget about it. But what this recent incidents in America has done, that when that person called out for his mother, we all felt that. We all felt the pain, that the mother in all of us was troubled, that no, we felt the fire coming closer. So I think pain is a big gift that we have to use to connect with pain and understand each other's pain. So from apathy to empathizing, you have to stand in someone's shoes and feel the pain. But we will not feel it unless we understand our own vulnerability and dependency. So another aspect from mental health point of view is very interesting is the bullying literature. So the people who bully and the people who are bullied, the mental health challenges are pretty much same. It's not only the people who are being bullied will have mental health illnesses or struggles. No, the person who's bullying ends up having a lot of issues as well. So we realized with this pandemic that no, China is not that far away. No, we realized with Africa that HIV, Africa wasn't that far away. HIV was not an African problem, neither is this COVID-19 anymore a problem that's gonna stay in China. Like you said, we shared the world. There is no way, and we are shrinking in some ways, we are shrinking. The global shrinkage is happening. So we are not that far away. The fact that we are doing this conference from all over the world is that we are more connected than ever. Are we more empathic than ever? And that's where the value of life will come. That once you value your life, put a value on that, understand your vulnerability, understand your dependency, and then put yourself in someone's shoes. Imagine if my kid, and it's a reality that changed in America for all of us. We felt like, oh, we are not the minority. We as South Asians are the myth of the best minority, the ideal minority myth, right? We are professionals. But what happened? It started to affect us as well. So it's like racism doesn't end, the bias doesn't end, the hate doesn't end just with one. It spreads through the society. And every time you allow one injustice to happen in the society, it will permeate, it will decay the root of the society, it will impact each one of us. So I think that is the connection I would like to talk about. But another thing I want to emphasize, and the fact that what Homa was saying, and what Ajita said, that we definitely I say paint the world with your pain. That after every pain, struggle, and loss, use that, turn it into a purpose. Turn it, so every crisis is an opportunity. So this COVID-19 taught us that, or the Black Lives Matter movement right now in America taught us that if it brought the ugly out, it did bring the best out in people as well. And we are using these moments to connect with each other, right? So I think understanding gratitude, understanding what your needs are and what is greed, volunteering, reaching out for others, and allowing to heal with each other. We need to sit together and heal together. And that is my message today, that use your pain to paint the world. And that's the art of living, loving, and healing. So live long and prosper and be it. Another thing I've really learned and I'm practicing really hard is be at peace and be the peace. So that would be my last message to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Abbasi. Thank you for joining us today. It's a
Can I
pleasure
ask you a question, Dr. Abbasi?
Sure.
So from what you've been saying now, I find it's a revolutionary message that we are given compassion and we can feel pain of other people in order to understand that human being was not created to feel pain or to be unhappy. We are created to live in peace and harmony, in joy, to support each other. And the fact that we are living now in the society where we feel so much pain is the fact that we have to change our society right now, because we are human beings here to be creative, to be happy, and to help each other to multiply with happiness. Not to support each other in pain is just a condition we are living nowadays, because our society is like this today. But
So-
it's not, what we were created for, right?
I actually, let me go back to what I'm saying. Look, pain is a natural human phenomena. So if you didn't have the quality to feel pain, you wouldn't know if you hurt, you will run into things, you will burn yourself, you will run in front of the car. So pain is a very important protective mechanism. What as a society we have done is like, oh, we can't deal with pain, or there should be no pain. No, pain is inevitable. There will be disease, there will be death, there will be losses, there will be trauma. It is part of your living, right? But the problem is we cannot avoid pain. We should not be causing pain or adding to someone's pain, but we should have that human empathy to sit with each other and share this pain. And when the pain is shared, it's halved, it's more bearable. So that's what I'm saying, that the utopia is not that we will have a world without pain and struggles or conflict. Utopia is how we come together and deal with it. And how do we coexist and share that, okay, understand each other's pain, sit with each other's pain, share the resources equally, and share each other's vulnerabilities equally.
Thank you
Alina,
so much.
Alina, can I say a few words regarding this pain? Emma, can I?
Let's continue on with the questions, and then we will come back and we'll have a discussion afterward.
Okay, all right.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Abbasi, and thank you for sharing that quote with us by Rumi. That was very nice. And I have to agree, if we do see pain and we see it, like you said, it's a protective mechanism. If we do see it in our body, then we should go get it fixed. We should go to the doctor. Same with society. If we do have it around, as you said, by one case of violence just causes a chain reaction, and it causes more cases. So we need to stop it on ourselves. We need to understand that it is there, but as a protective mechanism, we should definitely get it fixed, should I say. And the next question is for Karina. I will introduce the fourth foundation, and Karina, I would like you to share your understandings regarding it. And the fourth foundation is the transparency and openness of information for all. Every human has the right to receive reliable information about the movement and distribution of public funds. Each human has access to information about the status of implementation of the society's decisions. The mass media belongs exclusively to the society and reflects information truthfully, openly, and honestly. And Karina, among other things, the news is a platform that is known to spread negativity. Not all news, but some, which causes aggression, violence, and misunderstandings in our society. It is challenging to find news that is reliable. In order to build a creative society, we have to make sure that the news we get is positive and truthful. Please share with us the importance of having the media belong to society and how important is it today to promote equality and unity?
Hi. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Olga. Thank you, Ajadra, for having me and all of the panelists. Nice to meet you. I am really optimist by myself. Today, the news is filled with worse news. So we have terrorism, crime, pollution, inequity, drug abuse, and oppression, But like I say, I feel optimistic by myself, but wherever or no, we really, the world is getting worse each day. The nature of new will interact with the nature of cognition to make us think that is. News is about things happens right now or in any time. Not things don't happen. For example, we never see a journalist saying to the camera, I am reporting live from a country where where a war has not been broken out, or city that has not been bombed, or a school that's not being shut up. As long as bad things have no vanishes from the face of the earth, there will always be enough incident to fill the news, especially when billions of smartphones turn most of the world pollution into crime reporters and war correspondents in each one. For example, plane crashes always made the news. It's simple. It's like a put in the people was nervous all the time. But car crashed which killed far more people almost never do. No surprisingly, many people have a fear of flying now, but almost no one has a fear of driving. People run to make, which kill. For example, is the data say which kill 50 Americans a year as more common cause of death than asthma, which kill more than 4,000 Americans a year. This is the data. This is the real data. So the nature of news is like to distort people's view of the world. The consequence of negative news are themselves negative. Consumer of negative news, no surprisingly, become glum, arresting A recent literature review cited misperception of risk, anxiety, lower mood level, learning happiness, content, and hostility toward other. This is a desensitization and is some case. So for complete that is the people say, finally the people say, why you need to support a cause? Why I need to support or donate money for the world or for the foundation or for a lot of cause in the world? You know, the negative news is affecting emotionally, feelings, emotionally, perception, emotionally, and be converting in negative person. You know, you need to choose where you can sow. You need to choose what news you need to follow with positive news. You know, this is my message. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Karina. Thank you. It's a very important message, truly. Thank you. And in order to build a world without violence, we need one common goal. Everyone needs to envision the ideology of such a society and unite together under one idea to build the future we have all been dreaming of. Lawrence, could you please introduce us the FIVES Foundation and share your vision and practical examples of how we can implement this foundation? Also, please share any historical examples of peaceful and prosperous civilizations, as you are a specialist in it.
Good evening, and thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you for all these great insights that I've been hearing until now. And I will feed from everything that you've been saying, all of you, and thank you very much for inviting me. I would just want to clarify something. I'm an anthropologist, social anthropologist, means I'm working in contemporary societies, today's societies. I'm not a historian. So I'm more interested in what's going on in the world today, in which societies, rather than the historical ones, but I can give a few examples. First of all, whenever I teach about anthropology, so to clarify for everyone, social anthropology is studying about what is a society, what makes a society as a system, what are the social practices, and what are the representations, individual and collective, which makes a society. So whenever we speak about violence with my students, a lot of the time, and not only the students, they see more the violence that has been created in another society. It comes out to them rather than their own society. So I always tend to say that every single society is creating its own violence, probably as every single individual is at a certain point created its own violence upon himself and upon others also. Because it seems, as we look at the world today, and as it has always been nearly, probably, violence is absolutely part of the incarnation of human into this three-dimensional plane of existence. But so violence can be declined in many different colors anthropologically. In China, there's a specific kind of violence. In India, there's another specific kind of violence. In Europe, there's another specific kind of violence. But I think the question that has been raised in the beginning by Agita was very interesting, is to question in the first place, what exactly is violence? And I found it very interesting that you were saying that there are many different kinds of violence. And I would go to the root of it. Why is violence? And I think it's a very interesting question to ask in the beginning, to be able to think in the future of a society without violence. Because just as in medicine, just as being a doctor, we can give either medicines to stop the symptoms of an illness, or we can go to the root of the illness, the cause of the illness, and try to fix that cause, and then we will suppress the symptoms of the illness. And I feel today's world, as globally, is ill, sick from violence. all kinds of violence, escalating violence. And we need as doctors to heal our own world. And as Gandhi says, and as Rumi said also, start to heal ourselves, our individual selves, and the people in our family, then collectively, as collective groups of people, how to heal ourselves to be able to heal the world. Then we have to go, as in any sickness, to the root. What is creating violence? I teach comparative religions also, and so I've been going through the mythologies of different societies, how they envision the world, what was human, where came the human from, and why human came into this existence. So I think to understand the root of violence, we need to understand it on two planes. The three-dimensional plane, and then we can go the whole night in a conference on many different details of why this particular type of society is creating this kind of violence, why it happens in another kind of society. But then we can also go to the root of violence as on another plane. Why is violence so much constitutive part of human existence? And I think the answer is at the same time social, means in what we have to do in every single society around us to implement less violent relationships, but at the same time spiritual, on the spiritual plane also. Why is there violence in the world? So what I've seen in comparing different mythologies, different I wouldn't say religious forms, spiritual forms, which I've been studying in India, in Pakistan, in North Africa, in Africa, and in South Asia, is that violence is here at the moment that we lose track with the very root of our existence. And it has been said also at the beginning of the conference, talking about empathy, compassion, paint the world without pain, means I think it's a question of consciousness, because in many traditions it is said that the human being is constitutive of two parts. One part is going towards the light, towards unity, towards consciousness, and another part which is falling down and going towards division, towards discrimination, segregation, doing harm to one ourselves and to others also. So if we take the part of the human that is aspiring to unity and to light, if we fix our individual selves with whatever spiritual traditions we have been given as tools to become the light that we really are, because I also really like when the first speaker said, sorry, I forgot your name, that we have nobility, humans have nobility in themselves. So then if we tend towards the unity of our being, where we came from, that we came from the same lights, and we're going back to the same light, which says many different spiritual traditions, if we are connected to this reality within ourselves, then naturally, within the heart of humans, with this light of consciousness in the heart and in the mind, obviously we're not able to do harm to anyone. Obviously we're not able to be violent with anyone, because compassion will be born in our heart, just like the source of water in a mountain. Just like a mountain fountain, compassion and love and generosity is being born in the heart of human being. Whenever he has this consciousness and feeling of being connected to the whole creation, let alone all the humans. So racism is an illness. And where this illness comes from? It comes from whenever human is being divided, separated, inside, completely fragmented, put into pieces, and he doesn't have an idea and a feeling in his heart of that root where he comes from. And when that division came, then human can become violent for many reasons, and Agita will say better than me, of being frustrated because they haven't received enough love, of being frustrated because they are jealous, because they get into competition, they don't get the place in the world that they supposed to be gotten. We are violent because we are feeling lonely, because we are feeling separated from other humans, from our source. We are violent because we are suffering, we are in pain. And like you said, we haven't painted the world with our pain, so we isolated in our pain, and we have been shouting this pain, and the world is not hearing this pain. And finally, we become violent because this is the only shout, this is the only action that we can take to be heard. So these all are sicknesses that happen when division happens in the heart of the human, in the life of a human. And having been lost track of this reality that's within us, then we become violent, because this is the only language that we can find to come back to our source. And I think consciousness is also a very important point, to have the knowledge of what it is to be human. What does it mean to be human individually and collectively? What is the human composed of? A soul, like we say, we make a difference between soul and, for example, in Islamic metaphysics, we say there is a ruh and there is nafs, and we are composed of some light which is unalterable and pure. We are composed of self-aspirations, we are composed of a consciousness, we are composed of an emotional dimension, intellectual dimension, and physical dimension. If we have a knowledge of that we are all these things together, the others also are composed of all these things, and that we have to aspire to more light and unity, then we will consciously go into a path where we're trying to regain this lost unity. Because in many mythologies around the world, even in Latin America, in South Asia, in Africa, it's all about having lost the original unity. And in my sense, violence comes from this pain of having lost this unity within ourselves and with others. So to regain, I forgot the question, I went far and I forgot what was the initial question, but to regain this sense of unity would be to slowly and slowly from the root annihilate any form of violence. And in my sense, only with the consciousness of what we are and where we're going to, you were speaking about the goal, where we're going to beyond social expectations. Where is the soul of human supposed to go back to? The original lights. So with this consciousness from within, then any reason to provoke violence will be eradicated. Because I do believe, and we are now talking about an ideal society which will happen. So it's not only an ideal, we're making connection between a dream or an ideal and a reality. And it might happen. Of course, we are making it happen by making it manifest today in this conference. So then if we continue to take some excuse which are very local, like we should do this and put this little bandage on that pain so that we become less violent, violence will come back anyway, because it's a natural inclination, it's a symptom, an outside manifestation of division. So to take consciousness that we are initially not divided within humans, within ourselves, with others, and this is our initial condition, to go back to this condition with many different kinds of, philosophies, spiritual practices, meditation, whatever is available around us, to find again this sense of unity within us. Then there is no way that we'll be able to be violent even with an ant. So that would be my final word.
Lauren, thank you so much. And the most powerful tool for us is always effect. So that's why if you could share with us any facts from your knowledge of peaceful and prosperous civilizations, please.
Well, as an anthropologist, I've lived in Africa, India, South Asia. I haven't seen any society which is completely peaceful. Of course, there is many kinds of violence. So I cannot tell you, I would lie if I selected one society and say this is the example of ideal society. Even very small micro societies, there are some forms of violence, conjugal violence, domestic violence, whatever. But I could share a fact of what I've been observing in India, because this is the country I've been roaming the most, making the most of my knowledge, field work, and a lot of insights on humanity also. The pockets, like some villages, some communities, some families, where I have seen people living peacefully, is obviously the places where people, through their own religious traditions, spiritual traditions rather than religious, have not lost the track of this knowledge of unity. And when they have this knowledge of unity, and I have heard this discourse many, many times in India, even though it might seem completely inappropriate to talk about this now that everyone knows what's happening in India. I'm not talking about India now today, but I'm talking about what makes the root of India, the specificity of India, which has always amazed me and which has made me an anthropologist specialized in the Indian subcontinent. I've been going back to India for 20 years. Why? Because I have always met for every of my stay in 20 years, people, lots of people from all walks of life, who have the consciousness of this unity. And this is a discourse that I've been hearing like a mantra in India whenever I go back to India. And every time I go back to France and talk to my students about this, I'm thinking maybe I have dreamt it. Maybe it's not true. Whenever I go back, I have these people saying that we all stem from the same and we are connected, we are the same, we are not divided. Although the opposite is also very true in India. There is a lot of division, people creating division. But in the initial, fundamental, essential consciousness of the people of India as a whole, I'm not talking about small pockets of individuals, people have not lost this sense of unity and this consciousness of where we stem from, and which is called the primordial tradition, for example, in some philosophies of the East. So India would be an example, also a counter-example of what's being destroyed. But maybe if destruction is happening so much in India now, it means there is obviously something to be destroyed about this sense of unity. And I think this is why in India today, there's a lot of power sent there to destroy, because the sense of unity is here.
Thank you so much. And I think you brought up so many good points today, Lawrence, that first, our nature is dual, and it just depends on which side we want to feed. Either we want to feed the positivity or the negativity, and that's where we're going to go. And once we know our true nature, once we know the where we come from, then of course we can only treat other people as we can treat ourselves. Thank you so much for sharing with us today and for sharing the example. It was truly wonderful. And thank you to all the speakers for sharing today. And we see that the 8 foundations for building the creative society are important if we want to see our civilizations prosper. From what was voiced today, we can summarize that the main change needs to be done in ourselves. It is necessary to take action and to bring back the moral and spiritual values in our lives. If our society is built around these essential values, we can change the vector of society's development from the consumer-oriented to the creative society by peaceful means. Our next question to all of our guests, the one question: if the 8 foundations of the creative society are implemented globally, in your opinion, how quick can we change the world and make it a world free of violence? And all the guests are free to answer.
For everyone?
Yes.
Okay, let me tell something. I think we have a responsibility now. Is we have involved in all of things happening now. It's a responsibility to take action for everyone in the world. I think happen something is for some reasons. So this is a huge needs now, in the world, in all the world, not only here in the United States, it's around the world. So I can saw the news, for example, support the George Floyd kills in bigger march in London, in France, in Switzerland, in every country, because it's like every person is like a fundamentality needs right now. We can together right now. Involve means the people need to be together and take action wherever you are. You need to take action. You need to, for example, with the people with you work with the people, you your neighborhood, and everything. You need to take action for change this horrible, this horrible thing happening now in the world. Is take by myself take action. Thank you.
I would like
Thank you,
to,
Karina.
I would like to add on that until unless we internalize this loss as ours and understand that George Floyd could have been our son, our brother, is our co-human, until unless we feel the pain of this loss, we will not be able to do anything about it. That's why I say that sitting in the pain and sharing our mutual humanity. So we cannot say, oh, George Floyd was someone else's loss. George Floyd was my loss. It was a life taken away from me. And that is what is empowering this movement right now, this Black Lives Matter movement and this anti-racism movement all over the world. That we are owning this loss, we are owning and internalizing this pain as ours. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree completely. And so this can be quite fast as humanity is rising to be alive again in its own heart and come back to this natural consciousness of ours to be connected to the whole of creation. It can happen very fast, but it has to be ignited. This light again has to be ignited. So I agree to encompass again, to feel part of this huge network of life, of creation, then it can make a very big change very fast, but it needs to be enlightened in everyone's heart. And maybe this event of George Floyd is the one small spark which will enlighten the most of the human hearts.
Can I say something, Olga?
Yes, yes.
Okay, with reference to what Dr. Basi has said, that paint the world with pain. At that time, I was thinking that people, when they're suffering through a pain, what they have been subjected to a particular pain, when they see the other person, you know how negativity is born when, like for example, I have a pain, I have been suffered by an acne. When I see the same person, despite of the truth that I know that okay, this person must be very yeah, you know, in a problem, it's going through the same situation, people really uh, acknowledge it, people really own it in you know, despite of being helpful, they start enjoying this. I think that painting the world with the pain is a good thing. And as you are talking about George Floyd, I am also, saying that, okay, this is a good campaign which is going all around the world, but there are the other things that for hundreds of years, some of the people in our world, they are just striving hard for their basic rights. I don't want to politicize the conference, but you see that this empathy should be, this is something good, that we are all against racism, but there are certain people who are just, you know, speaking for their rights everywhere for, I think, for the past 72, 73 years after the foundation of Pakistan and India and Southeast Asia, but they have not been given their rights. So somehow, if we just keep ourselves in the skin of the others, so then we can be able to understand the pain, and then we will be able, you know, together we can be able to paint the world with pain. Uh, I really, uh, this has opened many windows of my life, mine, I'm sorry, that I've started thinking about the ones that it's, that if we start feeling the pain of someone's at our heart, and then instead of just enjoying that okay, I had been to this and this person is going through that. So if we'll just curb this negativity, so there will be more, creative society here in the world. Thank you.
And let me add something, Homa, that George Floyd is a symptom of the society. We have George Floyds in every country. He's a symptom of injustice, unfairness, and inequality that's very prevalent in all our countries. And that's what I'm saying, that he can be the symbol right now, because we are right now very close to the fire in America. And then if we fight for one cause, it's automatically that you become aware of other causes around you in the world. And that is
Farah, Dr. Farah, I would like to say here that I don't want to take the name of that, but you see that Kashmir is right now the ticking bomb, isn't it? I wish that I support George Floyd movement. I stand with all the people, and I'm writing for it as well. But I'm on this part as well, that we need to focus on this as well, because it has been more than 73, 74 years that the Kashmiris, they are asking for their rights, and it's their right to be a free state. But there is no resolution yet. We can feel this.
I totally agree with that. Some of the causes in the world are treated as children of lesser God. I think that is the hope here, that we continue to work towards all of those injustices.
I really appreciate
Thank
the movement.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
and
Rina.
I also want to ask this question for Ruki and have her answer it as well. If the 8 foundations of the Creative Society are implemented globally, Ruki, in your opinion, how quickly can we change the world and make it a world that is free of violence?
I like the question of how quickly. Thank you. It would be an automatic effect, it would, if all of these foundations are implemented, then we already see a united world, full of equity, and love and respect, for every human being. And like all the speakers already talked about, the George Floyd movement, the conversation around George Floyd has raised so many things that people were ignorant of, like sexism, racism is just like an umbrella body for a whole lot of discriminations, just like Huma's talked about right now. There are societies fighting for basic, liberties, basic rights of being, who they should be, human beings, the basic dignities, that's the right of every person, who has the privilege to walk, on earth. So I really think that the question of how quickly, it will be super fast, if all of these 8 foundations are implemented all simultaneously, the effect is automatic. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ruki. I have to agree. Nagita, maybe you would like to add something as well onto that question.
Thank you, Olga. It's been amazing to hear from a different background. I really admire from each and every one of you coming from different background and we are all here sitting, coming from a different perspective. I have to agree with Lawrence, with Dr. Abbasi as well. We are all coming, we are all have to embrace a humanity. We're all born without any mistake. We have only a good things to basically doing a good stuff. So as a baby, of course, like something in illegal, we call it, there is always cause and reasons and consequences. So however, the law itself, the system, the society is made by humans. We made this, and we create the law, we create the system, and we break it in the same time. However, we as an individual, we're not born as the same conditions as it is, because we're progressing. We need more food. We need more educations. We need more money. So it trigger us to basically create a different discriminations, or we trigger us to basically robbing a bank because we don't have the money. Sadly, that's how our society is basically being shaped. So if we implemented those 8 fundamentals, having equality, having equity, equality is basically having the same opportunities, no matter whether you are black, whether you are white, whether you are yellow, you are having the same equality of education, no matter what. So if white or if you're black, you're getting a scholarship, it means every single person getting the same scholarship. And then you're having the same knowledge. Because what we see at the moment, if why this violence is keep going and going, because there is no law enforcement in here. The law enforcement is dead. And we see even there is a case in Kashmir, and it's been years and years. There is a case from forced marriage in Pakistan, and it's been there since probably years and years. And then now we have a George Floyd. And how many George Floyd before the Instagram is actually there, before the online is actually there? We don't know. So
even in homes, inside home.
There is a domestic violence. Completely right, Karina. So there's domestic violence even within our family. But we see life is not as simple as it is, but we created the system. So it means it is our own responsibility. So if we being able to basically make the whole positivity into one, no matter what, coming from a different perspective, we sit together, there is a legal and coming with a legal enforcement. And then there is someone coming from anthropology speaking about a good society. There is one coming from the mental health to basically create a better and a good health, because there is no health without mental health. So how amazing life is going to be. So I have to say thank you so much for ALLATRA TV for creating such an amazing 8 fundamentals that we're hoping that more people to listen to us, more people to think about the 8 fundamentals and to implement it. Just a small thing, starting from your own family or your own environment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Agita. And
Just
thank you to
quickly,
all the speakers.
Olga and Alina, just last thing I would say, as a mental health provider, let's focus on what's working. And I think us coming together is the first thing that's working. And let's end on that hopeful note that more and more people come together and do this work.
I totally agree with you.
Yes.
Thank you guys for organizing this. Yes.
Thank you
so
very much.
ladies.
And today we have touched and discussed a very important topic, and we see that people all over the world want to live in an atmosphere of friendship, respect, and understanding. Thanks to the project Creative Society and the 8 foundations for its creation, we have all the tools needed in order to build a world we can be proud of. It is all in our hands, and if the voices of every single, and today the voice of every single person counts, and it truly does. Every single person is a unit of humanity, and we need to all speak up. And already today, people are uniting under one goal, and each day there are more and more people joining together on the platform of ALLATRA International Public Movement.
Exactly, Olga, thank you. And in order to create conditions for the transition of a society to a creative format based on universal spiritual and moral values, it is necessary to raise and speak openly about the problems of violence in families and in society, about violation of human rights, as well as inform about the positive experience of people coming out of difficult situations. All this contributes to a joint search for solutions to these problems, interaction, information support, and the exchange of positive experiences in resolving situations, as well as creating a healthy psychological microclimate in different social groups. An atmosphere of friendship, mutual understanding, and respect for each other, understanding that all of humanity is one big family. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And we truly appreciate all the viewers who are watching us today. And thank you to all the guests who have joined us today. And thank you for your time. And these conferences will be held regularly. If you would like to initiate such conference in your country and in your city, please contact us and please send us an email. We will truly love to help you. And ALLATRA IPM is a unique platform that unites all people of goodwill. We are outside of political affiliation and we respect all religions. And let's unite all together and change the world for the better. And thank you to all the speakers again for joining us today. It was definitely a truly wonderful conference, and we
Yeah.
definitely show that we can unite even on with such wonderful technology that we have today as the internet and Zoom. We can all get together, and that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You.
Really enjoyed the session. Really.
Unite with like-minded people. Make the world a better place.